back. In the tomorrow's session, we'll actually apply some of the practices that we can apply that will help you with your promotion and other things. Let me just see how many have joined. Okay, let's kick off. I hope you can see my screen now, and let's see. Okay, those of you who have joined, can you please start with a hi on the chat and let me know that you can hear me clear, loud, no issues, and see me, and you can see the screen that I'm sharing. Just say hi and I'll know that you have. Good. Thank you. Cool. Just giving more time. I see more people joining. So making sure I give more time. So those of you who've been here on time, thank you very much. Okay, let's start off. Great. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Rakesh Ravindran, and I will give a detailed introduction a little later. But you can actually put up some QR codes on the screen for you to go through and see. You be more familiar with my content and what I produce. This is something that I've been doing on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I educate people on how to grow in career and what needs to be done and how you can put in strategies, how you can put in systems that will help you grow in your career. Right. So that's what I do. Now, quick one. Let me just quickly get you some of the links. This is just so that you are more familiar with me, and that's it, right? Okay. Sorry, I'm using Zoho for the first time as my webinar. I usually use Zoom. I wanted to try this out. So little unfamiliar with a lot of the controls. That's what's okay. I can't put in text as this. So anyway, so you have what you have. Okay, so you can see my screen. And before we kick off, we'll go through some basic ground rules. Yeah. So the first one is that this is about 2 hour session, 2 hour long session. So be prepared. I would prefer that you are not distracted. Please sit in a place where you can stay focused as much as possible. Uh, take notes as much as possible, because of course, you're not doing anything while you're listening to me in the screen. So it's important that you have what you're seeing and hearing into an activity that helps your brain learn better, right? So take notes. Have a beginner's mindset, right? So of course, a lot of you who are here, you come with a lot of experience, and that experience is a baggage that you carry, right? So now you may have different experiences, and not everything you hear and learn may be easy to adapt and do things. Again, you don't have to, right? And but then for this session, it will be easier if you just, as any adult learner, when you are learning and you spend some time, it's good to unlearn. So in this case, just keep it aside and keep an open mind to really understand what is happening, right? Cool. And then of course, please engage on chat if you can. If you have the ability to engage on chat, go ahead and please engage on chat. Positive and respectful discussion is a necessity, or else it just makes it really bad for all of the people who are here. Make it easy on everybody else. Be understanding, and so be absolutely respectful in the chat. You can use Q&A section to ask any questions if you have questions. And again, staying respectful is important. Yeah. And then, of course, I'll answer all the questions, even if it goes beyond 2 hours. So don't worry about it. Any question that is posted, I will go through it and answer them. And I may ignore some questions because, of course, what I try to do is I bundle them together, or I may have already covered it. So you may feel like your specific question is not answered, but know that the concept that I am going through, and if you have questions on that, that will be answered no matter what. Yeah. Okay. And then highly recommend using a laptop or a PC. If you're on the phone, may not have the best experience, because there are activities that I'll want you to do. So those activities is, you can't switch screens on phone. So it's always better to just go ahead and log into a laptop. And the last one is have fun while you are at it, right? So again, I'll be really quick about this. 20 years of experience in corporate world, MBA from Marshall University, and I'm a leadership and life coach with ICF credentials. And I'm also an AI generalist. What I mean by that is I basically help small MSMEs adapt AI in their workflows as much as possible, because they find it a little difficult to see where the applications are possible. So this I sort of help them out with it. So why am I doing this? Is because I know for a fact that this is an actual incident that happened. It was a few years back when some of the senior leaders we were out on a offsite with the company. The whole idea of offsite on a quarterly or a half yearly basis, a lot of the companies have that, is because you're going to strategize there. So one of those events, uh, over the evening after the day's session was done, it was a 2 day session. I saw a bunch of leaders sitting around a table on sofas and having conversation. They were laughing about something, so I joined in after my session, and I basically asked them what was happening, and then one of them said that, oh, we were just talking about one of the directors was basically saying that this person had actually hired a manager, a senior manager, for half the price, the budget. And those of you who don't know, budget is basically the minimum salary that usually the minimum salary in a range for a role, right? So they were half of that was what they were offering this candidate, and the candidate accepted it, right? I learned later on that candidate was getting paid much lesser in his previous organization, so thought it was okay, right? Now the point is not that, right? The point was, one, it hurt when I heard that, and people were laughing about it. So I was worried about the entire culture that we were. And this is not just in one organization, it's pretty much everywhere, right? Managers are rewarded, leaders are rewarded to keep the cost low. Right? And so a lot of what they do is around it. So how do we keep the cost low? Maybe hire at a lesser cost. That works. Now the problem is also that a lot of the people that are hired, they have no idea what they are really worth. Most of them don't know how to negotiate. Most of them don't know what the industry pays for a certain role. So they are oblivious to what they should be asking. There is no confidence, even if they feel like, okay, maybe they need to. There is this feeling that maybe they are not getting paid enough. But then what really happens is that they also don't know how to go about it, right? So that's the unfortunate truth. And for me, that hit me hard at that point. And I realized that if there is anything that needs to be done, is that first thing, people need to be paid for what their job role demands, right? But if you don't know, how do you negotiate it? So for me, I've always been in coaching and mentoring circles. So I've coached a little more than 1,000 people as of now. Most of it was while I was working in a corporate, and I was just part of the circle. And a lot of people approached me. One of the reasons I think most people approached me, and not no, is was because I grew quite quickly in my career. It took me a while to understand what was happening, and thanks to my mentors who basically showed what the expectations were and how much of a gap there is between what I was doing to what needs to be done. So what I did basically was, in these years, systematized what I had learned and put it into a learning method that helps you adapt to that learning quickly and apply that more strategically. So that's the whole idea. That's the purpose, right? One big thing that is a fact in the industry is that 79% of the professionals are invisible at work. And I'm not saying this is a Michael Page study, right? Invisible in the sense means that you are working hard. You are actually putting in a lot of effort, sacrificing your time with your family, friends, your own time, but then you then don't see the results in the way of your promotion or recognition or just acknowledgement that you are doing something worthwhile, right? A lot of you just navigate through it without being seen for what you're doing. And the fact is, and I wouldn't say it's an unfortunate fact, that's how it has been, right? Is that on the visibles are the ones who get promoted. And a lot of you may see that there are people who are very social, happy to go meet with people, have meaningful conversations with senior leaders, and they get recognized. They seem visible, and some of you may call it buttering up the boss, right? So that's what, or politics in the office. But the fact is, it's just that some of those people are just better at managing relationships. They are just better at networking. And those are strategies. Some learned it organically. They just figured it out. Some are naturally good at it, extroverts who are really out there and happy to socialize, and some struggle. There are a lot of mental blockers to it, right? The fact is also based on study that if you spent more than 2 years in your role, it's very likely as a mid-level leader, if you're a senior manager, director, as a mid-level leader, you are very likely to get stuck in this role for 5 to 7 years. And this is based on global study. And I think the average is much higher in India. It could be more than 10 years that you're stuck in the role. You have no way of getting out of that role. A lot of you bear it because it is not bad enough, right? So that's a paradox. You're stuck in that. It's not nice, but it is not too bad. So we'll just push it up, push on and keep going, hoping that someday somebody wakes up, taps on your shoulder and says, okay, it's time to get promoted. Nobody does that. It'll never happen, right? So that's my mission. I want to reach at least 100,000 mid-level leaders and help them learn the ropes, understand what is happening, what the gaps are, and how you can scale, how you can go through, navigate your corporate ladder, right? So that's the whole idea. Moving on, I showed this to you, put it on the chat. Please familiarize yourself with who I am. It helps understand what I mean by and what is the background that I come with, right? So quickly, one of the things that I will ask is to please go ahead on to a link that I'm going to give you now. Just a sec. And I'm pretty sure most of you don't know what this is. Again, struggling a little bit with the new interface. Zoho webinar. Doesn't seem like I can post text for some reason. I don't know why. There you go. Okay. So I'm pretty sure most of you haven't seen this part, this particular page. I would recommend you go in there. Yeah. This is basically where you can see. Sorry, there is I have to live close to a Air Force station, so there's a little bit of background noise because there's a fighter jet flying, but hopefully you can still hear me just fine. Okay, so those of you who have never heard about Michael Page, right? So this study is something that they do every year. The salary guide 2025. There is 2026 that is yet to come. I think it'll be usually at the end of February that they push their studies out, reports out. So if you haven't seen this, go through this link. I can't share the screen because it's proprietary information, right? So it will be something that you will have to do it yourself. Go ahead, follow the link, and what you need to do is you will land into a basic sign up page. Go through the sign up page, basic information like create your account and of sorts. Once you're through there, you will get to a page where you can see different industries and click on one of those, the ones that you belong to, and you can then see by role what the salary is. Uh, that is minimum salary to the maximum salary for a role. So you can go ahead and click through, see where you are, right? And once you're done, I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Yeah, once you're done, come back and let me know on the chat. Let me know on the chat what you thought. Yeah. like I said, I'll give you a couple of minutes. I wish I could share the screen with Michael Page, but it's not right for me to do that. So I'll have to let you go ahead and do that yourself. Like I said, I'll give you a couple of minutes to go through and understand that. Yeah. Yeah, there is no chat, so you will have to use the Q&A. I'm just going through this myself, just so. So you will see something called salary guide. You can either download the entire PDF, but I would recommend instead of that, right? Just click through view and download salary guide, and if you will see that you have different industries or sectors, right? So you might belong to say banking and financial services, engineering, manufacturing, finance and accounting, so on and so forth. Click through, and you will scroll down. You will see different roles, right? See which one closely associates with what you are doing, and you will know what the actual pay range is for that role and where you are. Look at it and let me know what you felt when you saw this. And if you want, you can download the entire report in a PDF as well. Go, it's all free. So I'm streaming this on YouTube as well. So I put up a poll. You can use that as well. or you can update on the Q&A as to what you've thought looking at the Michael and Page study. Okay, I see some updates. Good. Okay. I got. Okay, good. I see votes coming in. About 60% disappointed, 5% expected. Many of you haven't answered. So, but no, 0%, and I'm being paid better so far. So 60% disappointed. Yeah. So kind of understandable. Yeah. And anybody, you might guess why. Like I said, I started with that story, right? Because as an organization, one of the biggest purpose is to reduce cost while keeping the revenue up or high as much as possible, and reducing any risk that could lead to increase in cost or reduction in revenue, right? So these are the three strategic missions that a company has, any organization. That's how it works. Any business operates on these three strategic principles: revenue, cost, risks, right? So know this, right? Most people will more or less be underpaid, right? Or on an average will be. But here is a graph, right? Now, this graph basically shows you, based on your age, what your salary should be, right? So again, this is off of Michael Page. A lot of this is available in uh, the website, michaelpage.com. Just go ahead, feel free to sort of browse through and see what you find, right? So if you are at 30, you should be earning 40 lakhs per annum. And then if you're 33 to say, as you can see on the screen, at 40, you should be at about 1 CR plus. That's the ideal range, right? Of course, depending on the role. Now, this is not everybody. This is the top 10%, right? It's the top 10% salary. And a lot of people fall way below this, unfortunately. And it is so much so a problem that I think in India we specifically have, because it's really difficult to grow after a certain point, because we in India, we don't know a lot of the things that happens as a global culture. What are the things that is expected? And some people understand it fairly quickly. Some people struggle to get the details of it, right? So that's what we will try and understand what it is. So first thing, what's causing the disconnect? So again, there are studies about this as well, right? The first one, any guesses as to what this is? Answer on the Q&A. Guesses? Yeah, so it's an iceberg, yes. But what is the 15 and 85? What do you think those numbers represent? Any idea? Okay, some of you saying it's the hidden job market. Well, yeah, it's about, so they say it's 20% is hidden out there, but 80% is not. But yeah, this is not difficult to reach the tip of iceberg. No, not necessarily. 15%. It's about skill. Okay, one of you got it. Yeah, it is soft skill and hard skill. Correct. So, but which part of it is soft skill? 15% or 85%? It's hard to get a context when you see bit of information. That's exactly what happens with us as well, because a lot of us don't see the whole picture. It's difficult to see the whole picture, right? And you might have heard, see the big picture, right? That's why sometimes our vision or our ability to see things is much narrower than it should be. And that's the whole idea, right? So let me reveal that it is actually 15% is your hard skill and 85% is your soft skill. In what? Right? In being successful in your career. So a lot of you, when you start off, hard skill will be 99%, right? When you first get a job right out of college or whichever educational institution that you come out of, the first thing that they'll assess or want to learn about you is your hard skill, especially if you're in software sector or anything that requires you to have a specialized knowledge in, which is why people hire you. It is hard skill. Hard skill are your learned skills, right? Skills that you need to go through. If you're a software engineer, how good are you at coding? That's your hard skill. What is soft skill is basically, a lot of people, you know it, is your ability to communicate, your ability to strategize, plan, implement, and these are soft skills, right? So based on studies, not by a premium institutes, Ivy League universities, Harvard, Carnegie, and Stanford, your success in career depends more on your soft skill. 85% of your success comes from your soft skill and 15% is hard skill. And especially true when you are in mid-level leadership roles. Now, and and it goes lower as you go up. So if you are a director, this is probably 10% hard skill, maybe lesser hard skill, and 90% soft skill. And if you want to go into a global director or a senior executive, it just sort of disappears after a certain point. Your experience will hold some value, but it is not necessarily what gets you the success. What gets you to climb the ladder is really your soft skill, your ability to speak, your ability to communicate your ideas more effectively, getting your team to rally. All of that's what's critical. If you don't have that, it's hard. Now, a lot of you might be, yes, obvious. Now, let me tell you a fact. Soft skills are only the surface level too. They are not the most important aspect. Your soft skill is developed through your mindset. It's a mindset shift that is needed. So if you asked what really is soft skill, is not just about the outwardly what you see as communication skills. Yes, those matter, but those matter only to a certain extent. Why? You might have very good English, right? But if you don't have the confidence to speak in high stake meeting, then English is of no use. Again, English or the language ability is not really what communication skill is. It is about how you are able to transfer idea, right? How are you able to get an influence around you? What is your influence circle? That's what matters. Great communication or your English is not the most important thing. Your ability to be able to confidently convey an idea, that is what matters. And that is where the problems are, right? So first is your fears and self-limiting beliefs, right? I'll talk about 3 of them at a high level. I'll go into the details very soon, right? Second is false expectations. So I'll talk about fears and self-limiting beliefs and false expectations. Just so you know what false expectations are, is basically you expect things from your environment that includes, excuse me, your workplace, that you shouldn't be expecting. Like, for example, I am working hard. My KPIs are great, so I should be promoted. I deserve a promotion. No, doesn't work like that. Real world does not work like that, right? And especially if you, as you grow, beginning in the early stages of your career, yes, right? Even if you are an individual contributor wanting to get into your first level manager as a team leader, for example, yes, some of it actually may work. But After a point, after a team leader's role, you are already a manager. If you want to be a manager's manager, none of that works, right? Your KPI alone doesn't get you anywhere. And then there is a lack of system. You don't have clear systems. You don't have clarity on what to do next. I know from experience talking to a lot of leaders on a one-on-one basis that they don't know what to do next. They don't even know what is the role that they really want to go into. But they know that they want to grow. They want to be the CEOs, CXOs, and CFOs. But how do I get there? I don't know. When there is no clarity in what that next step is. Forget about next step. There is no strategy. There is no system in place. In fact, I could ask any one of you here to tell me do you have clarity on what to do next to get to the next level? I know for a fact that a lot of you will say no, right? So that's one of the problems. So what do I do is basically I work with a lot of leaders, help them shift their mindset to being able to look at what those opportunities are, get the clarity, and progress forward. I've created systems that basically works all by itself in most cases, right? And a lot of the times when I have one-on-one conversations with leaders, it's the simple things that are mental blockers. Some experience in the past, or just a lack of clarity doesn't give them enough ammunition to go and convey their idea, because they feel like, what if I'm not successful in conveying that idea. A lot of them have imposter syndrome, the whole sense that maybe I was just lucky to get here, and if I open my mouth, what if they discover that it was just luck and no skill? But in fact, you've gotten where you are because of a lot of the skills, more than anything else, right? But you don't recognize that, and that's where the problem is. So what are these big problems? You believe your work will speak for itself. First one, I've seen this so many times. Oh, I've got great KPIs, I'm meeting all of the metrics. Why did I not get promoted? The guy next to me got promoted, or the person next to me got promoted. Why? The whole question of why is simply because, well, they did something different, right? They may not have as good a KPI as you, or maybe they could have it as good as you, but they stood out for what? That's the area that needs to be learned, right? So let's talk about that. I'll talk to you about a dear friend of mine, actually. Yeah, Abhinav Mahant was one of my first clients. Well, even before I was actually professionally coaching, you know, I, he reached out to me and I helped him out with a lot of his career moves. Now he is in running his own business, and that's what confidence does, right? So Abhinav believed in meritocracy, which is good to have, but know that merit alone doesn't get you places, right? It's got a lot to do about your ability to convey idea. With senior stakeholders, high stakes meeting, Abhinav would more likely than not go sit at the back, become invisible, and happy being there, right? And amazing perfectionism, right? So there is this really real need for people like Abhinav to want to be a perfectionist. Everything needs to be perfect. There has to be validation for everything that is done, right? And they wait for the recognition to come to them, right? They hope that, oh, all the work that I've done, I hope, they hope that all this is going to be get recognized by the manager. Maybe the manager even recognizes, but then think about it. In your role, wherever you are, right? Most of you are here, I believe, are in mid-level leadership roles. Your manager can't get you promoted. It's your manager's manager, or maybe the cross-department manager, right? So in case of Abhinav, he just hoped that my manager will recognize. And the fact was the manager held him in high regard because he was, You brought in the results, but never really, you know, did anything to sponsor him. And, he wasn't spoken about when Abhinav himself wasn't in the room. His manager wouldn't vouch for him and speak up for him and say, okay, this guy is, if you're looking for somebody in XYZ role, you should look at Abhinav. Nobody did that for Abhinav. Why? Right? It's a simple thing is there is huge reluctance in people like Abhinav to delegate strategic tasks. Abhinav wanted to do all by himself because there's a reputation at stake. So everything needs to be done. So what comes out of it? Basically, first thing is he was known to be solid performer. There's a name tag, right? Awesome performer, great. But no compensation, falling behind in salary, right? Lack of strategic exposure because nobody gives him anything strategic because there's, everybody knows Abhinav is going to be super busy, right? With his firefighting, daily management of issues and incidents, and just making sure the KPIs are pushed. And manager loves it, right? So manager's like, oh, wow, this guy, I need him there, right? What it eventually leads to is absolute stagnation. Abhinav was stuck in that role for 4 years, being the best performer, amazing results. Nothing happened because of the perfectionism and lack of delegation. It just moves nowhere. All Abhinav needed was to let go and understand that strategically he was getting no value from hoarding and doing things all by himself. He needed to delegate a lot of that thing. And some of you might be, I am delegating. But again, think about all the strategic things that you were asked to do, and are you delegating all of them, right? So that's where the crux is. So that makes a lot of difference. And once it was understood, skyrocketed. Career just kept moving. Every 1 year, he was easily getting promoted, right? To a point when Abhinav started his own digital marketing firm. And that's the difference. That's where all of that happens, right? When you have that breakthrough on knowing what needs to be done, you can get to where Abhinav is. He's making a little more than 12.5 lakhs per month in turnover. And that's big on digital marketing field, right? The confidence to be able to do that came from the fact that he grew in his organization fairly quickly once he realized that that's basically what there are certain aspects, systems that he can implement that gets him different places, right? So that's where the whole bit about I believe my work is going to get me places comes in, right? It does not. You have to speak for it. So the next one I have is you are the other big problem I see with a lot of leaders is perfectionism, like with Abhinav, but then this is over a certain extent, right? Where you believe there is a self-doubt, especially before taking something new, right? So a new project or a new initiative is put there, high stakes meeting comes in, your leader says, okay, I need somebody to run this. This has got the CEO's eyes, this meeting. I know a lot of leaders who will basically come up with excuses like, oh, I'm busy this month. I know there's some event or function happening at home. I may not be able to focus, so I don't want to do it. Or, oh, I'm not good at certain aspects of this project. The project requires, I'm not good at it. So let me not put my hand up. There's always some excuse that you pull back. Oh, I'm not 100% ready. I'm not 100% ready to run this project. So no, I'll not put up, let somebody else put up the hand, right? So that is what was happening with Ananya as well. Excuse me. It has to be perfect. Everything I do has to be perfect. That's the mentality that she was running in. You operate in the belief that deliverable presentation or any new initiative must be flawless. It has to be perfect. It doesn't. It your actions are, people like Ananya, your actions are, driven by or heavily governed by the desire to avoid criticism. Nobody should criticize my work. There should be no judgment, or this whole perception of incompetence shouldn't be there, right? You conflate mistakes, you know, like it's a big crime, and that's where the problem is. And that is imposter syndrome. It's a relentless pursuit of this, of coping mechanism of our imposter syndrome. Most of you believe that, success is a fluke. I got here by luck, right? And if I make a mistake, what if they understand that I'm undeserving, right? And there is avoidance of any high profile project or anything that can get you a lot of eyes on you. There's attention on you. You don't want to do that. In Ananya's case, she wouldn't even apply for roles because there were seniors in the team. She thought, oh no, let them go through it. I'll apply later once they get through. But they weren't half as good as she was. Neither did they get promoted. Ananya didn't even try for promotions. And that's where the problem is. You don't want to speak up in meetings because what if I say something wrong? You will then later on speak to your manager directly, one-on-one. Of course, you could do that. That's one way of doing it. But the problem is that you are not seen as promotion ready in that case, right? And that's where the problem is. So with Ananya, it required a lot of conversations, coaching, to know that you don't need to be 100% ready to take on a new project. Know that in any organization, there are support systems. If you're 20% ready, if you feel like I know 20% of it, go for it. Just take a dive, right? And there are excuses. It's just useless to think about all the other excuses. Again, people are willing to help if you ask for it, right? If you are delegating enough, if you've built a good support system around you, you can do it. How to do that is something that you've got to learn, and that's something that I can teach, right? So you have to build that visibility with your stakeholders. Making sure that you understand exactly how to get it done is really, really important. In Ananya's case, things turned out that within about 6 to 7 months, she got a little more than 50% hike in the same organization. It's not even that she took a jump to another organization, because people started to see her value. When you break out of that mental block, self-sabotaging behavior, you can actually make it really visible for the rest of it. The group, everybody around you will actually start taking notice. And that's what happened with Ananya, right? So it's not rocket science. It's basic principle of how relationships and networking work. And how, as an introvert, I specialize in introversion. I am an introvert myself. There are systems that can be put in place that will help you move to different places, get amazing results, right? So moving on, let's talk about asking. I spoke about it, and if you ask, you will get it. Most of us, and I know for myself, I struggle with this. I am not someone who's used to asking for support or help. It's really difficult for me, and that held me back in my career a whole lot. And so did Priyanka, right? So this is another case study that I have, who was also very hesitant to ask for anything. She would worry about being seen as selfish. What if they see me as selfish? Including, see, you have to ask for increase in your salary as well. I know a lot of people will be like, no, they will give me an increase, whatever they think is right. A lot of people never ask for increase. Remember this whole saying, they say that squeaky wheels get the grease, or crying baby gets the milk, right? So I'm not saying pester and annoy people with asking over and over again. There is a way of asking. There is a right way of asking, and knowing how to ask shifts that other person's way of looking at you. They'll start seeing you as someone who is highly valuable and deserves an increase. That's the way you need to communicate. That is a way you need to communicate. There are systems that you can learn. So this whole zero sum belief is self-sabotaging belief. What is a zero sum belief, right? You believe that career rewards, like projects, opportunities, promotions, high visibility projects, are finite. There's only so much that is available. I seen entrepreneurs. I know some of you here are entrepreneurs as well. You believe that as well. That there's only so much. There is competition. There is people who will take the pie, right? Bite into the pie. So you will only expect this much. So you don't ask. You don't ask for support from your people that you know, people who might be more than willing to help you, but you never ask for it, right? And you feel like if you go and ask, you're taking away from that pie and others will not get it. So you're worried about others, which aligns with the whole idea that you're being selfish, right? So, like I said in another case study that I was speaking earlier as well, the first one, you feel like, oh, if I take that opportunity away, there are seniors in my team, or peer leaders that are there who are much more senior than me. Maybe they should apply. You look up to certain people. So if they are applying, how can I apply? Right? It just doesn't work like that. Even lateral moves that I know, people who didn't apply, although they were very well deserving, very well qualified, because their manager applied for that role, right? They were moving laterally. It could have been a higher role for you. Why? How does it matter anyway? It shouldn't matter, right? So you should go ahead. So the if you feel like I'll wait for my turn and earn the right to get promoted or get the salary increase, it just doesn't work. You have to ask for it, and that's what changed for Priyanka, right? It's important to promote yourself. When I say promote yourself, market yourself. If you have achieved something, hoot your own horns in the right way so that it doesn't look like you're hooting your own horns, right? You're basically promoting the work that you're doing. There are ways to do that too. There's something called impact brief that I teach, which is basically AI based. You input some things with and use chat gpt to get a really good statement about what you've achieved, and it will make it sound absolutely you know clean and clear in a way that it's just you will feel proud of yourself, right? And that's what makes the difference. And in case of Priyanka, she got 2 senior leader promotions in 1 year, and it's not something that is undoable, right? A lot of people, when I say this, also say, oh no, my organization says that I need to spend 12 months or 24 months or 18 months, whatever your organization says, in the same role before I can get promoted. But look, those are guidelines. Those are not etched on stone that they have to follow it. Those are excuses. Those are loop. Let's just say that those are statements that are reserved to keep you certain people away from asking questions, right? But those are just simple guidelines. Those are not rules that has to be adhered to. Yeah. So moving on, the fourth one is unclear about next step. I started off with this, right? So you don't know what to do. What is the next priority? Unable to really prioritize what needs to be done, sticking to it, and then just focusing your attention entirely on it and moving forward. Show you another case study of Siddharth, right? Again, another dear friend of mine. In this case, an entrepreneur running small business, right? Constantly doubted himself, feared rejection, worried about what will they say, what if I don't succeed, right? So those are mental beliefs that keeps you back, holds you back. Now, in case of Abhinav, he wouldn't go for any project that is more than a certain amount of money, because he thought, no, my team is, maybe not capable, not being able to prioritize what is necessary. So what also happened was there's this shiny object syndrome. If you haven't heard about it, basically, you see anything shiny, you want to put your attention to that. For example, there is a role that comes up, you feel like, oh, this is a good role that I want to apply. But then there is another role that comes up, you're like, that is also a good role, so you apply for that. And then there is another role, you apply for that. What you're doing is you're basically confusing everybody around you. So nobody will support you in that growth opportunity, right? That's what's happening in business as well. In case of Siddharth, was, he looked at one opportunity, is like, oh yeah, this is good, and then moves to next and spreads himself thin enough to not being good at anything, right? In case of a company where you are employed, everybody around you are like, what is this person really looking for? They have no clue. You have no clarity. So they don't support you with anything, right? So it's this problem of being easily distracted and not having that single mindedness to achieve what you really are good at and you can achieve. That's where the problem is. Now, once Siddharth broke out of it, he started making a lot of money. He started taking on big projects, because otherwise he would say, oh, this is too big for my company. You can go. He used to send business to his competitors, believe it or not. It's amazing how people can sometimes do stupid things, right? So that's where the problem is. That happens in career as well. The same thing. You basically think that, oh, I'm not good enough in this role, so I'll not apply. Or there's an extreme version where you're applying for pretty much everything that comes, and people looking at you are like, don't know how to support you, right? So that's a problem as well. I'm not saying not to have backups, by the way. It's good to have it, but keep it narrow, not everything that you see, right? So that's really, really important. You have to be able to create a perception around you that is very clear to others, right? So that's one. Because otherwise you will focus on multiple things. You have inconsistent skill development as well, right? You have vague career conversation. When somebody asks, okay, what do you want to do next, you have vague career, you don't know, you say something stupid, vague, right? You don't know how to prioritize task. You just create chaos in your mind as well. So long term projects, if that is a project that needs to go for 2 years, you are not the person they will look for, because they'll be like, oh, this person, I don't know, I can't take risk giving it to this person, because in another 2 weeks, this person might just say that there's another project that they want to focus on. So I don't want to invest my time and effort and trust this person with a big project. So they don't give you high stakes project, which could have been, say, a lot of organizations have these tests, unsaid tests that are given out to see how you do, and then see you as the next promotion capable person. Doesn't happen if you are basically going everywhere, right? So that's a problem. And I'll tell you about the fifth one, which is about great humor in a strategic promotion ready. This is one of the most common ones that I see, especially relatively lower mid-level leaders, say a team leader or an manager role. I see a lot of people who are for what they've done really fast, and that's what's happening with Santosh as well. Is that really good at what had been done, so it's got a high value in the organization, right? So perfect, very good, top performer, has done, so get this level, or maybe even an assistant manager, you get there. But after that, you're absolutely stagnant, because you are known for one thing in that team. You've grown within, you haven't moved laterally, you haven't moved to another department to learn something new, experience something new. You haven't put yourself out there. So you are just known for one app. So they will depend on you like crazy. They hold you in very high value, right? High performer, but low potential trap. High performer, but great at fixing problems, great at fixing issues. But that micro focus leads you to be valued for that role. So even if you apply for another role, sabotage could come from your close stakeholders, current stakeholders. They'll be like, no, this guy needs to be there because we are dependent on him. That's a problem, right? So operational excellence, metrics, and accuracy, all of that is something that you hold really close to and you are amazingly good at. But when it comes to anything else besides that, outside of work, you struggle with it. That's what was happening with Santosh as well. Until I helped him move strategically into another lateral move, got cross-functional strategy, and within 6 months he was getting promoted, and then another 6 months got promotion again. And it's just, that's the way to move, right? So you have to be able to learn new things, learn new skills, let the people know that there is something beyond what I'm doing that I'm interested in. I'm willing to invest my time and effort to learn that so that I can move forward. And it works especially if you want to move from one organization to another organization, a dream organization that you have. That's where it helps. Now we've come a bit. Yeah. Now, first thing, how many of you can resonate with any one of these? If, give me a count on the Q&A session. These 5 different things that I spoke about so far, right? Sorry, this is 6 basically, right? Yeah, well, I'll talk about gravitas a little later, but so far 5. Okay, so a lot of people gave me 2, 1, 5, 5, 3. So the thing is that a lot of what I said now are interrelated. So it may be hard to put a number to, but then you have some idea of where it is, right? So these self-sabotaging behavior is most prevalent amongst a lot of leaders across the industry. And the fact is that it is not too difficult to come out of it. Yeah. So first thing that I will touch upon is gravitas. Yeah. So what is gravitas? A lot of people don't understand this concept. There's executive presence. A lot of people come and say, oh, now should I be wearing tie and should I be wearing blazers? And, uh, they think a lot of that has to do with appearance, but it is not. If you think about it, think about some leader that you look up to, right? In your organization, maybe outside of organization, you will notice that a lot of them aren't valued for how they look or their skill or their ability to know the subject or their subject matter expertise. This is not really the point, right? There is something else. When they walk into a room, everybody gravitates towards them. They will look at that person and say hi, even if they are not the senior most per role. There are some people that pull their attention. Yeah. If you agree, if you notice that, give me a in the chat. So agree, right? So you see some people that are just something about them. A lot of people call it charisma, but it is not really charisma as well, right? You don't have to be charismatic. It's no, there is something else, right? And you can't place your finger on it and say, okay, this is what it is. No, that is gravitas, and that has got a lot to do with the combination of all of this. First one is, how do you, it's not appearance, right? How you physically appear is not the point at all. And in fact, you will notice in your mind that when you think about that one person, they are not necessarily the best dressed. Could be, but that's not really the point, right? It's about being silent when chaos is around you, being able to hold the fort, being able to sort of bring calm when everything around you is chaotic, right? There is, say, a big incident happening or a small incident happening. You will notice that everybody will look at this one person who's calm and composed. They know what needs to be happening. So analogy, right? You're flying on, say, uh, 35,000 feet, right? Plane, terror hits, and then panic on, the pilot comes and, oh my God, just hold on, please hold on to each other. Oxygen mask comes down. He starts shouting and saying things quite fast. How do you feel? Panic more already. Now it is just absolute chaos. But then pilot comes in and says, "Okay, gentlemen, is fine. We are hitting a rough patch of weather. Will be out of another 10 minutes or what, and we'll have a smooth sailing." Everybody's calm, right? So that is what is gravitas. It's not about how you appear or your skills. Nothing of that matters. Being able to listen, it's a skill. A lot of people think that they're good at listening, until it actually comes to the wire. I know a lot of people who come to me and say, "Oh, I'm great at listening, Rakesh. I don't need training on that." And then when I really dig in, they're terrible at listening. So your own self-assessment is really, really important. Self-awareness is the most important thing. So there are amazing systems you can put in place, simple systems that you can put in place to build gravitas, right? And it has taken me years to get into that, be able to actually put it down systematically. That has taken me years to get it done, but it is there. And then I'll give you a bonus one, right? So the seventh one, you think you have everything you need. If any of you resonate with the seventh point, you think you don't need help. You've come a long way and you can go the rest of the distance all by yourself. You don't need help. I was one of them. Yeah, I thought I don't need a mentor. Right? It was difficult for me to accept that somebody else will will tell me something that I'll find value in it. I thought I know everything. Right? There is this ego. Right? If you are one of those person, put an E in it. You thought you don't need help. You don't need coach. You don't need a mentor. Right? If you're one of them, let me know in the chat, no, in the Q&A, right? If you E. So bringing us back to this. Now, how many of you, if you can put it in one word on what you saw on the video, what was your learning? What did you take out of it? One thing that you took out of it. Put it on the Q&A. No, some of you said audio was a problem. Yeah. But you could read the subtitle. But basically, from what I said, what do you take out of it? What's your learning? How it applies. Something that you need to look at. Your potential is not what you're living now. Your potential is what you're going to be, what you're becoming is more important. So how do you get that? By yourself, possible, but then it will take a long time, right? And then this understanding is quite profound if you really sit with it and think, really do think. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I've given you the link to the video. So what are mid-career professionals saying? Again, these are testimonials. These are all on my website, and feel free to check it out. I don't want to spend time on it. So tomorrow, what we will do is we will go with the 3 shifts, the transformation. I will talk about what comes out with AI augmented leader. So I'll give you tools that will help you move forward with this, right? I'll give you 3 tools basically, and I'll give it to you later on as well. I'll give you the links to the Word documents and the forms that you can use to actually do three things. One is, how do you understand what you are, what kind of a leader you are. Again, it's not about being labeled, it's about identity, right? How do you bring visibility? I'll give you a test that you can actually, it's not a test, it's more of an assessment, a simple quick assessment on a spreadsheet that you can do by yourself. And then how do you ask raise, or not just raise, or anything for that matter, if it is promoted, don't